When recruiters see your experience section, they're not just looking for job titles, they're looking for proof that you're the right fit. But are you giving them enough to see it? Now, you've already hooked them with a compelling headline and created interest with your about section, and now it's time to back it all up with real quantified evidence of what you bring to the table. Today, I'm going to show you how to bring your experience section to life with metrics, achievements, and context that makes a lasting impression. Now, the experience section is your opportunity to showcase your actual impact and demonstrate why you're the right person for the job. Now, most of us are guilty of ignoring this section, myself included, but as a former recruiter, I can tell you firsthand, this section is one of the places recruiters go looking for clarity. Now, if they've got to this part of your profile, they're not just scanning for job titles. They're looking for proof that your skills and accomplishments align with the job that they're hiring for. Now, this is where you want to go beyond listing job duties and focus on quantifying your achievements. Now, remember, you're building on the interest you created in your headline and about section. So now it's time to showcase the real results that you've delivered. Now, here's a tip and something I used to look for as a recruiter. It was always helpful when people would include a quick overview of the company's size, sector, and primary function. Now, why, you might ask, but this is because many employers want people with direct experience in similar types of companies. So large companies often look for candidates with experience navigating corporate structures, while smaller companies may prefer people used to fast-paced, flexible environments. So let's talk about how you can add this context to your experience section. Now, firstly, a quick overview of the company. So provide a brief description of the company, including its size, industry, and main function. Now, this helps recruiters quickly determine if your experience aligns with their needs. So for example, tech startup with 50 employees focused on AI-driven solutions for healthcare. Now, this shows if you're coming from a similar environment and if you're likely to fit with the company culture and workflow. Now, next, you should describe your role with context. So instead of just listing your job title, give a sense of how your role fitted into the company structure. Mention if you were part of a small team or managed a large department and include key responsibilities. So for example, managed a team of 5 analysts in a 200-employee e-commerce company, overseeing end-to-end supply chain processes. Now, by going into this level of details, employers can better understand the scale of your responsibilities and see if your experience aligns with the company's structure. Now, I say this because I would speak to some directors managing 200 people, while others with the same job title manage just 2 people. Now, that's a huge difference. Alternatively, I would speak to individuals whose job titles weren't doing them any justice. Now, they would be labelled as a manager, meanwhile, they'd be managing more people and more responsibility than others with more inflated job titles. So here is the place to highlight that. Now, another thing to highlight is relevant sector experience. So if you've worked in a sector relevant to the jobs you're applying for, make sure it's clear in your description. Now, believe me when I say this, recruiters and hiring managers are often looking for candidates with industry-specific insights. And yes, they might favour someone with just 2 years specific experience over 10 years of general experience. So if you are clear on your goal, I'd encourage you to get specific. So for example, if you've worked in healthcare marketing, don't just say that you did marketing. Instead say, 5 years of experience in healthcare marketing, specialising in digital campaigns for pharmaceutical products. Now, this matters, and it matters a lot. Industry experience can be a major selling point, especially for roles requiring specific market knowledge or regulatory compliance. So next, let's talk about metrics. Now, when it comes to showcasing achievements, I often see people sticking with percentages, like improved efficiency by 10%. Now, that's great, but there are so many other ways to highlight your impact and make it pop. So let's dive into some other types of metrics that can really bring your experience section to life. And if you want more examples of how to put this into action, please see the link in the description where you can get access to over 100+ examples of quantifiable metrics that that you can add to your resume or LinkedIn profile. Okay, so number one, absolute numbers. So if you've led a team, managed a budget, or dealt with significant amounts of anything, say it. Telling recruiters that you led a team of 10 engineers or managed a $300 budget for office renovations gives them a clear picture of the scale of your responsibilities. And it's way more impressive than just saying team leader or handle budgets. Now, you've all heard the saying, money talks. Now, this doesn't always need to be about money, but absolute numbers make things concrete. They give your experience a real sense of weight and scope. So next, let's talk about ratios and proportions. Now, ratios and proportions are another fantastic way to show impact, especially when you're improving or optimizing something. So for example, let's say you've improved the sales conversion rate from 10% to 15%. Now, that's not just a number, it's a story of growth. Or maybe you achieved a 5-to-1 return on investment for marketing campaigns. Now, ratios like these add dimensions and show how much you amplified value. It's like saying, look, I didn't just make progress, I made a difference that paid off in a big way. Now, of course, another way you can do this is time-based metrics. So time-based metrics are perfect if you're all about efficiency and speed. Now, let's say you reduced project delivery times by 2 months through better planning, or increase customer service response speeds from 1 hour to 30 minutes. Now, that's powerful stuff because it shows that you can make things happen faster without compromising on quality. Now, these metrics tell recruiters that you're the kind of person who finds smarter ways to get the job done, which is huge in almost any role. Now, I personally like this one because when I used to work with clients as a recruiter, there was one thing that 99% used to say to me, Lucy, we want someone who can hit the ground running. Seriously, nearly every single hiring manager I ever spoke to said the same thing. They were busy, they were stressed, and they were desperately needed to get somebody on board ASAP. But not just anybody, somebody who they knew would be able to jump straight in and start making an impact without needing too much hand-holding. Now, highlighting time-based metrics is one, if not the best way to showcase that, at least in my experience. So I would highly encourage you to use this method where possible. Ranking and ratings are your go-to if you're being evaluated against peers or received formal recognitions. So an example of this could be ranked in the top 10% of sales representatives company-wide. Or another one could be achieved a 4.9 out of 5 rating in customer satisfaction surveys. Now, these aren't just numbers, they're validation of your quality and performance. Now, when you rank highly or get great feedback, it shows recruiters that you're someone who stands out even among other high performers. So like time-based metrics, highlighting that you're a top performer quickly gives the impression that you will be able to jump on board and hit the ground running, and employers really like this. Now, moving on, I want to talk about growth and improvement metrics. So growth metrics are all about showing the positive change you've driven. So if you've increased team productivity by 20% over 6 months, or grew the client base by 100 new accounts in 1 year, you're telling a story of progress and expansion. Now, this kind of metric is gold for demonstrating that you don't just keep things running, but you actively push them forward. Now, recruiters and hiring managers love this because it's the difference between saying, I did the job and I made things better. Now, I, for one, know which kind of job seeker I'd like to be seen as. But finally, savings and efficiency gains. Because, well, who doesn't love saving money? Now, if you've found ways to cut costs or streamline processes, say it loud and proud. Saved $30,000 annually by optimizing supply chain processes, or reduced training costs by 10%, saving $5,000 per year. Now, these are great examples with tangible results. Now, these metrics show that you're resourceful and understand the bottom line. Now, employers want people who don't just do the job, but think about how to do it more efficiently and cost effectively. So by using these different type of metrics, so absolute numbers, ratios, time-based improvements, rankings, growth, and savings all help paint a full picture of your impact. So don't be afraid to mix it up. Now, this variety makes your experience section more dynamic and gives recruiters a clear, memorable view of the results you deliver. And if you do that, you will stand out. Okay, so hopefully you've got that, but don't forget I've got a free download in the description below, as mentioned earlier. And if you want more support, you can also check out my Job Search Unlocked course or my Career Growth Accelerator program for one-to-one support. All the details can be found in the description below. Now that we have a range of metrics and some context to include, let's talk about how to organize your experience section so that it's both easy to read and impactful. So number one, start with a strong summary. So begin each job entry with a brief summary that includes your job title, company overview, and core responsibilities. Now this gives recruiters an instant sense of who you've worked for and what you did. Now next, focus on achievements over duties. So avoid just listing your responsibilities. Focus on what you achieved and how you made an impact. Employers want to know the results of your work, not just your day-to-day tasks. And number three, use bullet points for key achievements. Break down each major achievement or responsibility into bullet points with metrics. Now, each bullet should tell a concise, impactful story of a result you achieved. Now, number four, keep it scannable. Use concise language to make this section easy to scan. Remember, recruiters are often scanning dozens of profiles very quickly. And finally, number five, update things regularly. As you gain more achievements and projects, don't forget to update this section. A current experience section shows that you're active and engaged in your career. Now remember, your LinkedIn experience section is your chance to showcase not just what you did, but the impact you made. And by adding context like company size, industry, and a range of metrics, you're giving recruiters and hiring managers the full picture of your experience and why you're a strong fit. Now, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because in my next session, we're diving into the skills and endorsement section, another place to boost your profile's credibility and show off what you do best. I'll see you there.